stool filter.
St Andrews in Scotland, probably the most famous strip of golfing land in the world. Golf has been played on these sandy links, where once sheep used to graze, for more than 400 years. Nobody really knows where the game first started. Its origins remain lost in the thick mists which often cover these parts of Scotland's coastline. The Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St Andrews has been the setting for many of the great golfing tournaments down through the years, including the British Open Championship. With its vast undulating greens, a stiff breeze blowing in from the North Sea, and its deep sandy bunkers, the old course still presents quite a challenge to today's generation of golfers. Golf is the fastest growing sport in the country, with thousands of people, both young and old, discovering the delights of the game every year. Here on the east coast of Scotland, at St Andrews, the home of golf, a report was published by the sport's ruling body, the Royal and Ancient Golf Club. The report suggested that if the growing demand for golf in Britain is to be satisfied, then 700 new golf courses need to be built within the next 10 years. The report also suggested that we in Britain need one golf course for every 25,000 people. In Scotland, there are currently 402 courses. It's been estimated that another 72 courses are needed. In the West Midlands, which has 120 courses, another 90 need to be built. But in heavily populated London and the South East, there are currently only 431 courses. If demand is to be satisfied, a massive 310 more courses are required. There's an enormous potential harvest to be reaped from the land. With 1.5 million regular players, golf is extremely big business. Equipment and clothing make it a multi-billion-pound industry, and it's likely to become even bigger. Golf is already an important user of land in this crowded island of ours, and as the waiting lists for club membership and the queues on the fairways get longer every year, it's likely to gobble up even more. Television has had a major part to play in the development of golf in this country. When the 1990 Open Championship was played here at St Andrews, millions of viewers watched Nick Faldo's memorable victory on the old course.
Oh, I say, where's that? Up on the left-hand side.
His successes over the years, along with those of other European golfers, Seve Ballesteros, Sandy Lyle and Ian Woosnam, have generated a massive interest in the game, which shows no sign of slowing down.
It's for 71. Yes. There it is. Nick Faldo.
The current fascination with golf is not something peculiar to the British Isles. Here in Japan, they take their golf even more seriously. So many Japanese want to play on the limited number of courses available in this crowded country that golf courses can charge what they want. A single round of golf can cost up to £100, and for city dwellers, it can take a 2-hour drive just to get to a golf course. But playing golf is a way of escaping from the pressures of living in Tokyo, one of the most crowded cities in the world.
Because of lack of space in a house, it'd be nice to go out and spend a day. It's all green and you know, wide open space. Feel like you're a king, and you have to come back to the small house that, you know, you have to live like this.
For 80% of Japan's golfers, this is as near as they come to the real thing, the multi-story golf driving range. Here, golfers can practice to their heart's content. This may look like Japan, but it's actually the heart of rural England, Liphook in Hampshire. 6 years ago, it became the first British course to be owned by the Japanese. There are some 50,000 Japanese living and working in the southeast of England. Japanese-run courses have been opened to cater for their needs, and the number is expected to grow. The current boom in golf has come at a time when Britain's farmers are facing the biggest changes to their way of life in more than 50 years. Human beings have had a profound effect on the landscape. Today's landscape is the result of 6,000 years of farming. From the first prehistoric farmers who cleared the forest to grow crops and rear animals, to the modern farmer with today's high-tech machinery, countless generations of farmers have left their mark on the land. Before the Second World War, British agriculture was in poor shape. Farmers couldn't compete with overseas producers. Our grain came from America, beef from Argentina, and butter and lamb from New Zealand. Britain was the biggest importer of foodstuffs in the world. Rural life in those days was one of poverty and hardship. It's a situation that today's farmers are unwilling to go back to. Since the war, British agriculture has been transformed by the use of fertilizers and pesticides. Men have been replaced by machines, and there's been a massive increase in the whole scale of the farming industry. In 1984, British farms produced a record harvest, 26 million tons of grain. This was 10 million tons more than we as a nation eat. With the help of massive government subsidies, British farming was changed into a highly efficient, highly mechanized, and highly productive industry. But during this transformation, what's been happening to the land itself? Someone who's seen things change over the years is Ken Nichols, whose family have been working the land on their Hampshire farm for the last 40 years.
The 60s and 70s were a good time for farming. Machinery, there was a revolution in machinery. Tractors were getting much better, combines were getting better, so it was a good time for farming. We were asked to produce more food, and we did it in the best way that we possibly could. As I say, reflecting back 30 years or 25 years, yes, I think probably at the expense of the land we did do a certain amount of things. We were guilty of making our fields larger, but this was to maximize every acre that was possible to grow, be it fodder crops or be it cereal crops.
The downland of Hampshire, with its gently undulating land and fertile soil, shows just how effective the new farming technology has been at creating a new kind of countryside.
All farming has become more of a business. One has to make a profit and one must have to make a living. And so that is the biggest difference that I've seen since I started off, is the fact that it is now a very big business.
But it's a business that's now going through its worst recession for more than 50 years. More than 25,000 farmers and 60,000 farm workers have left the industry in the last 6 years. Farm incomes are on the slide, and for many British farmers, their very survival is at stake. Although the job of growing our food is still the main activity of the countryside, many farmers have been looking for other ways of making a living off the land. Public demand in the last few years for organic and humanely produced food has created opportunities for farmers to try out new methods. Animals which were previously cooped up in batteries are now allowed to roam free on the land. And there's another possibility, doing nothing with your land at all. We're currently producing more food than we need. The European community is now paying farmers considerable sums of money to stop farming the land altogether. The scheme is known as set-aside, and some farmers are turning it to their advantage. Perhaps the biggest change in land use has occurred over the last couple of years. Tough times for the farmer and a growing interest in the game of golf are making the construction of golf courses an attractive proposition for landowners the length and breadth of the country. The game that began when Scottish shepherds amused themselves by knocking stones into rabbit holes with their crooks has become extremely big business down on the farm. The farmer's greatest asset is his land. Once planning permission has been given for a golf course, it more than doubles in value. For the hard-pressed farmer, golf couldn't have come along at a better time. There are 2,000 courses in Britain and almost as many proposals over the last 2 years to build new ones. If they all go ahead, they would cover an area the size of the Isle of Wight. But turning rich farmland into the plain green fairways of a golf course is a major step to take. I decided to challenge Ken Nichols to a round on his local course and find out about the problems he had.
It's not an easy option by any stretch.
Yeah.
For a 18-hole golf course, you need 120 acres, really, at least. So it's a way of taking 120 acres out of production. But you have to find the buyer, and they're not to a penny at the moment. It's very expensive to put in a good championship-sized golf course. For a farmer to do it himself, he needs to be reasonably wealthy or sure of his money sources.
Farmers need to find about £700,000 to build an 18-hole course, and that's just for the greens, bunkers, tees and fairways. Then there's the extra cost of drainage, of tree planting and building the clubhouse. Ken and his family decided to sell their farm at Pitt, just outside Winchester in Hampshire, to a development company, Leading Leisure, who were responsible for several golf course developments. Work went ahead converting land, which used to consist of fields of wheat, into one of the new crop of golf courses. Converting farmland into a golf course is quite a challenge for the engineers. Graham Wilkins was in charge of the operation. So Graham, what sort of landscape were you confronted with when you came onto the site?
Well, essentially farmland, 155 acres of fallow land. Had been left for a year before we started construction work, and the area was completely full of weeds. The first task, of course, was to clear the weeds, the overgrowth, and strip the topsoil. And we carried that out with large machinery. And there's about 70,000 cubic metres of topsoil, which is spread in a number of heaps around the site. Well, the site essentially is made up of two materials. It's chalk on the subsoil, and the topsoil has within it areas of flint which come from the topsoil and from the agricultural works over the years. So that presented a major problem to necessitate the removal of the topsoil. That had to be screened to remove the flint. And then, of course, you then have to move the earth to the contours that you want them to be in the final golf course construction. There's 59 bunkers on the site, and I'm sure as you look around, you'll see small ones and large ones, and some I'm sure that most golfers wouldn't want to get near in 1,000 years. So,
Someone with a very wicked sense of humour has designed this, hasn't
I think you have to be a reasonably good golfer, yes. I don't think I do very well in it.
What's the standard of your golf?
Not very good.
But you know all the nooks and crannies to avoid, don't you?
I know where the bunkers are. I don't think that helps there when you're actually swinging the club.
A golf course in the right setting can be a great place to spend a morning in the fresh air, and enjoying the countryside is certainly one of the added attractions of golf. About right?
I think I might concede now.
But the race to cover the countryside with golf courses is ringing alarm bells in some areas.
People tend to think about golf courses as nice green areas and people wandering around hitting little balls with large sticks, but in fact you never get a golf course, and you used to before the war. This is quite important. There were very few clubhouses before the war. They might have been little like potting sheds, but now the clubhouses, as you well know, they're social centres, and every golf course application has got a clubhouse in. And then, of course, it goes on from there. It is like dropping a pebble in a pond, and the pebble is the golf course, and the ripples outwards are the clubhouse, the leisure centre, the driving course, which has got floodlights. Then they have the shop, and it goes on from there.
I liked the ideas that the leisure company had, I felt that it was better to have a golf course here than a housing estate. And as we've seen, the houses of Winchester come right up to the boundaries of the farm on two sides. I think that it would have been a natural progression in the years to come. With a golf course here, this now becomes a green block on this side of Winchester. I'm panicking now.
So how would Ruth best describe the threat to the countryside?
Go back to Greek mythology. A Trojan horse came in pretending to be a Trojan horse, and of course it wasn't, it was something else. And this is what I think that golf courses are. You see, I mean, if somebody came in and they said, we would like to build a light industrial unit in the middle of this field, everybody would throw their hands up. But golf courses have got a much more green, bland image about them. And I might add that most of the golf courses which have been applied for in Hampshire are private golf courses, which with very, very high fees. They're not for the local people who want to come and have a pitch and putt at the weekend by any manner of means. I mean, there are some public ones, but very few indeed. It's something I can only think of about 5 which are public. So they don't benefit the local community, and you just need a few men to look after the clubhouse. So in actual way, it's just an investment portfolio for a developer, really. That's what it is, which is just the same as if you built a, you know, a mega store in the middle of the field, really.
At the moment, it doesn't look as though anything will be built on the old farm at Pitt. The development lies abandoned and uncompleted. The land, which should by now be a fully fledged golf course, is quiet and undisturbed, except for the odd rabbit or two. The old farm buildings, which were to be the clubhouse and restaurant, lie empty, waiting for a buyer. Leading Leisure, the development company that bought Ken's land, have gone bust in common with similar schemes in other parts of the country. Does Ken have any regrets about selling the land?
The only regrets I have now is seeing the house at the moment in disrepair, but that probably will be put back without too much problems to its former glory. But I say that possibly is the only regret that I have. I have no regrets on seeing the land changed from farming to a golf course. I mean, that's a natural progression as far as I'm concerned. It's the land being used for another purpose. I mean, what was this land used for many years ago? Who knows? It was probably farming. It has a history and it's got a future to come.
With so many of our farmers leaving the land, it's hard to know what kind of landscape we may be looking at in years to come. The land at Pitt will have a future, but whether that future will be golf or farming, or a totally different form of land use altogether, only time will tell. The popularity of golf continues to grow worldwide. In our crowded island, its development needs to be carefully planned. But there's little doubt that in areas where it's been proved that there's a demand for a course, where some thought has gone into its design and its creation, it can enhance the countryside. But if development is allowed to get out of control, the result could be dozens of blots on the British landscape.